Hello, everyone. I'm just going to give it a moment and make sure it goes live because I had a few technical difficulties. So apologies for being late on here now. Okay, so I think that I am finally live. So welcome to Connessione. My name is Kalani, and I'll give you a little brief introduction to myself and what I'm going to be speaking about today. So my name is Kalani, and I am a shamanic healer. I'm also a Hierophant priestess and an energy master, teacher, and a soul coach as well. So, and I've been on an incredible journey that's brought me to be the healer that I am today. Okay. And today I want to briefly share with you looking at mental health from a really different perspective. So this is looking at mental health through a shamanic lens. So this has taken me a long time to get where I am, and so I want to be able to share some of this healing and some of this wisdom with you as well. So I want to give you some hope. I mean, because sometimes when you're going through depression and anxiety or any other mental health problems, I mean, it can literally seem like there is no light at the end of the tunnel. So I'm just going to check that connection is a bit slow, sorry. So I was diagnosed with bipolar back in 2013, but that diagnosis had come after literally a lifetime, since I was a little girl and suffering from severe depression. And I was diagnosed with severe depression for that time. And back then, when I got that diagnosis, I kind of I needed it at that time to get the help, the only help that I knew that was available at that time. But now I kind of now with all of the training that I've done, I've been a therapist for nearly 17 years now. And my journey as a therapist began literally because I needed to heal myself. Okay. And so now I look at that diagnosis, and also, and when I look at it now, I realize that what I was going through for all of those years was there were trauma responses. We're not born with an instructional manual for going through trauma or any kind of abuse, and I developed coping mechanisms that weren't that healthy. Do you know what I mean? But it was all I knew. It was all I knew. And also as well, like throughout my life, I found that I would do so much healing, and then I would do really, really well in life. And then all of a sudden, something quite horrific and bad would happen. I've been through quite a few dark nights of the soul. I won't lie. But each time that happened, and then I would spiral downwards. Now, looking back, when I was going through those stages of my life, back then I was in victim mode, and I kept on saying to myself, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? Do you know what I mean? I'm trying my best to do everything in life, and I'm trying to learn, I'm trying to grow, and then this happens. And I didn't really understand why? I kept on putting that why out there. Why? But now I realise that what I was going through, it was what I call a shamanic sickness. So every time I went through the dark night of the soul, it was part of my soul contract. It was part of my soul contract because there was things I needed to learn. And my favourite saying is like, when every time a wound is triggering you, it's going to give you a beautiful gift. Now, I know that's quite hard for people to maybe understand, but your wounds are your greatest teachers. Your triggers are your greatest teachers in life. And when we go through that dark night of the soul, when we can really search for the gifts in the darkness, we can change our lives. I changed mine, and I didn't think that I ever could. I mean, at one point, I've with my depression, severe depression, and with the bipolar, I was hospitalized quite a few times. I had multiple suicide attempts, and at one point, I mean, especially when I got my diagnosis, it felt like a death sentence to me. It was like at that point, I thought that I would never ever get better, because as far as I was told by the mental health team, that bipolar was incurable. It was genetic. But now, with hindsight and with a lot of research, a lot of study, and a lot of healing, I'm able to see my mental health now through a completely different lens. So, as I said, I've been a therapist for 17 years. My journey first started when I became a Reiki and Seiki master, and that was kind of like the what really started me. And when I did that training, I was, well, before I did that training, I was a lost soul. And then I met my Reiki master, and it was literally like a sliding doors moment in my life, because I went from being like a complete lost soul and like just praying to my angels I was crying, praying to my angels every single night, just give me some happiness, just please, just give me some purpose. I wanted some purpose in life. And then I met my Reiki master, and he gave me a beautiful gift of training me, and that started me on my path. But it was like, from that moment onwards, it was like I was on a mission, not only to heal myself, but to heal other people around me. Do you mean, from a very young age, I knew that I knew that I was empathic. Do you know what I mean? I knew that I felt from the age of 3 years old that I wanted to help people, and do you know what I mean? And it was very confusing as a child. But now I realise that every single dark night of the soul that I went through was literally an initiation into my path as a shaman. Do you mean, I wouldn't be able to do, if I had the most beautiful, glorious, fluffy life ever, I wouldn't be sat here today talking to you. I really wouldn't, because every time I went through that dark night of the soul, I had to heal. I had to find the gifts in the darkness. And then each time I did, it opened me up. And it wasn't easy. It really wasn't easy. And if I explain a little bit about the shamanic healing, because that literally, over the 17 years, I've done many therapies. But the one thing that changed my life around was shamanic healing. It was literally the missing piece in my healing puzzle. It was like the holy grail of healing that I'd been searching my whole life for. So let me just explain what shamanic healing is. So shamanic healing is literally the oldest spiritual healing modality on this earth. It's been around for about 40,000 years, and it's been practiced by tribes all over the world. Native Indians, Europe, Asia, Africa. But there's one thing that joins all of these tribes all around the world, all of these shamans all around the world. They have one common thing that unites us all. And that is that we might have different ways of doing our healing sessions and treatments and things, but the one thing that unites us all is that we do the exact same thing, and we're connecting with spirit. So we're connecting with our spirit guides and our power animals. And as a shaman myself, I'm not doing the healing. I'm a facilitator, okay? And but it's my spirit guides and my power animals that are doing all of the work. Okay, I'm just helping them. Okay, so when I'm doing shamanic healing, I work with my drum, and when to be able to get into a receptive state so that you can heal, and so that I can connect you to the spirit guides and your power animals as well, and mine. I do the shamanic drumming. Now, when you're in every day, like just as I'm talking now, our brain waves are in beta. Okay, so that's a normal frequency of our brain. So, but when I'm drumming and the repetitive drumming, and I go at a certain frequency, and so that changes your brain waves, and it's going to change it from beta to alpha and then into theta. So when the frequency of the brain has changed, and then that's going to connect you to spirit. It's going to connect to my spirit guides and to the power animals as well. So you're in a much more receptive state of mind for the healing to actually occur. So, but why do we have shamanic healing? Do you know what I mean? I'll tell you. There are, with mental health, and also we're talking about mental health today, but I'm going to, so there are 3 causes of mental health, okay? One is soul loss. The second one is power loss. And the third one is spiritual intrusions. Now, all 3 of those will cause symptoms that are exactly the same as all the symptoms in the mental health DSM. So you've got depression, anxiety, brain fog, fatigue, blackout, dissociation, illness, disease. All of these things and much more are caused by soul loss, power loss, and spiritual intrusions. Now, when I look back on I mean, I was really quite poorly for a very long time. But now, with my shamanic training and with my trauma-informed coaching and training as well, and now I know that what I was going through was I was suffering from trauma. I was not born with an instructional manual how to deal with trauma. I had coping mechanisms, which was the only way I knew how to deal with that trauma, and it wasn't healthy, and it made me really ill. so those coping mechanisms were, those coping mechanisms were trauma responses. So with the shamanic healing, do you know what I mean? Like, this is the only way that I've been able to get at the deep core of my trauma and remove those energetic layers of trauma from my soul. Okay? So when you suffer from soul loss, power loss, or spiritual intrusions, basically, when we're born, we are born as a beautiful, powerful, imagine the most beautiful white light that you've ever seen. Okay, that's the core of your soul. It's your essence. It's your higher self. Nothing can touch the core of your soul. But as we go through life, through nature, nurture, through illness, disease, abuse, or trauma, we have layers that surround our soul, but it makes up who we are. Okay. So, but what happens is if you have any kind of trauma in your life, and no trauma is comparable, that is so important to say. Doesn't matter what you've been through, it's trauma is trauma, and it will affect your soul. So what happens when you've been through any kind of a trauma, if that's abuse, illness, or an accident, or anything else, then what happens is part of your soul will fragment and come away. Okay, so that's not your soul abandoning you. That is your soul actually protecting you from the full memory to protect your psyche. If you held the full memories of every single trauma or illness or accident, the human mind cannot cope with it. I mean, our lives are full of crazy stuff enough as it is. So, but what happens is those soul parts, they don't always integrate back into the soul. And so that leaves a massive void in your soul. Now, any void, and this is from a scientific point of view, like any kind of void will want to be filled. Okay, it's like in space. Okay, so when there is a void in your soul, when you've suffered from soul loss, that void will want to be filled. Okay, and that's when you're open to spiritual intrusions, or that void may get filled by addictions. It might want to fill that void with alcohol, with cigarettes, with drugs, food, or gambling, or whatever. Okay, but it's kind of like the void tends to be filled with, it tends to be negative stuff. So what we want to do is we want to get rid of that stuff, and we want to bring those soul parts back. So as a shaman, basically what I do is I'm acting as a soul compass, and bringing back your soul parts and taking away anything that doesn't belong in your soul so that you can feel whole again. The spiritual intrusions can be soul parts from partners. I've been through DV several times, and I've had to have quite a lot of soul extractions, because when I've been with these partners, they've not only controlled me physically and mentally, but they've controlled me spiritually as well, and my soul, because they've given me soul parts thinking that they can control me. But it's unwanted energy. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't give them any control, giving their soul parts away, but it does cause problems in yourself. If you've got soul parts there, you literally don't feel like yourself. So when I'm performing a healing, I can take those soul parts and send them back right where they belong. I can remove and cleanse and clear any spiritual intrusions, okay, and I can guide those soul parts back home so that you can feel whole again. So when I had my very first soul retrieval, it was powerful, and I mean very powerful. As I said before, I was diagnosed with bipolar, and they put me on a lot of psych meds for a very, very long time. Do you know what I mean? I've had medication throughout my life for depression. And as I said, I've been through those dark nights of the soul, and with the abuse that I've been through DV and also sexual abuse, and I also was attacked in 2010, and that attack, the guy attacked me and left me for dead in the snow. Now that left me with severe PTSD, and because I was left in the snow, snow was like my biggest trigger, and it affected me really, really badly, as you can imagine. So when I'd had my first soul retrieval, the shaman that was working with me, she'd done the whole session with me, and she never knew anything about my history, but she said that she actually saw a vision of me being in the snow, and she saw my soul leaving my body. Now, she was able to act as a soul compass like I can, and like give me that soul part back. Now, the next day after having this healing, I literally woke up and I felt lighter. It was like I was like about 2 stone lighter, and I had this like smile. I was smiling and I felt good, and I hadn't felt like this for a very, very long time, and it was beautiful. And then I was scrolling on social media, as you do, and memories come up. Now, a memory come up of my best friend Ro, and when she's now in spirit, bless her little heart. But normally when I saw that, when I used to see a picture of her, I used to get really, really sad and upset. But this picture in particular was quite poignant, because it was a picture of her, but it was also a picture of me in the snow playing and being happy, literally the night it happened. So this picture, it should have triggered me. It should have triggered me really, really, really badly and made me spiral, but it didn't. I looked at this picture of Ro and me playing in the snow, and I was smiling. I felt peace in my heart. I felt joy just looking at the happy memory of just me and her playing. And I felt, and then I was like, oh, it was almost like I had to check myself. I'm like, hang on a minute. Why am I not triggered? Why am I not angry? Why am I not upset? Do you know what I mean? And it was just like, wow, this is like, but from then on, it got even better. Do you know what I mean? Like, I couldn't believe how powerful this soul retrieval was. It was like, it literally changed my life. Seriously. It was just like, it was like, right, okay, this is the missing piece in my healing puzzle. Shamanic healing is the holy grail of healing. It's what I've been searching for literally since I was a small child, looking for that healing, looking to feel whole again, to have that peace and sense of love in my heart. And I never thought that I would feel that. It makes me quite emotional in a beautiful way, because like feeling that love for the first time was, and it was because it was that love for myself, not for anyone else. I've been searching my whole life for unconditional love from other people, and through that healing I then knew that I could love myself, and that was powerful. That's the most powerful part of healing, is learning how to love yourself. So from there, I worked, I mean, this is one important thing. If you're on any kind of medication, do not ever stop them suddenly. Please work with your GP or medical professional. I must say that as a disclaimer. So when I had that, after I had that healing, I worked with my mental health nurse, and I started to titrate and come off the medication. So I've been on heavy, I had been on heavy psych meds for my whole life, basically. I mean, well, since I was a teenager. And the medication that I was on back then was awful. It just made me feel like I was like a body, like a shell without a soul. I couldn't work. Do you know what I mean? I had all these skills. I was like a qualified therapist, and I couldn't work, couldn't do nothing. But I'm really, really, really happy to say that, do you mean, like, since that healing was done in 2020, which was during lockdown when I did my shamanic training. Now, I have not had any medication or psych meds for 4 years now, and that is, for me, it's just, I've got goosebumps. It's just the most amazing feeling, because after that, do you know what I mean, it was like, right, now I know that I can do this for myself. I can help other people. Do you know what I mean? Even when it's like, you might be going through the darkest night of the soul, and like you really might feel like you're never going to heal. But I promise you, there is hope. There really is hope. I mean, I didn't believe in a million years that I would be sat here today talking to you about my healing journey. I mean, I was, I think it was 2015. I was in hospital twice within a couple of months, and I almost lost my life. But as I said, that it's all been shamanic sickness. It's all been initiations into what I'm doing now, and those soul contracts have brought me to this today. And with mental health, do you know what I mean? As I said, it's that soul loss. When you start healing at a deeper soul level, it breaks the chains of trauma. Do you know what I mean? It helps to remove all of that and really help you to bring that balance back into your life. I mean, when we compare modern society with modern society with the shamanic tribes, if someone had been through any kind of trauma, in a shamanic tribe, the whole tribe would come together in circle and help that person. The shaman, the healer, would help to heal that person within 3 days of the event happening. Now, you compare that to our society. Now, we can get urgent medical treatment, but there is no mental health first aid. We're lucky if we get treatment within 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months, 30 years. Some people go through trauma and don't ever get any healing in their lifetime, and that breaks my heart. I can't imagine that. So this is why I want to change things. Do you know what I mean? There are so many wounded healers out there that have got the potential to be beautiful light workers, and I want to create a generation of light workers that have healed themselves and passing on that knowledge, because I think if you've been through that stuff yourself, I mean, you've got so much more of an understanding that you can help people. And I think we need to create a generation of healers. My biggest thing is I would love to have a healer in every single home. Do you know what I mean? So that if anything happens, it's that first, you've got that mental health first aid, you've got that spiritual healing toolkit in order to make yourself well again. And it's having that support. I mean, I want to come back to the shamanic tribe. I mean, this is why I love kinesiology, because it's about conscious connections. Before, it was, especially during lockdown, people were struggling on their own, healing on their own. And healing should not be done in isolation. I'm a firm believer in that. Healing should be done, I mean, we should all be connecting to each other to heal, and sharing our stories and inspiring each other. And as we heal each other, as we heal ourselves, we're not only healing ourselves, we're healing our ancestors before us. And as we heal ourselves, we are also healing the generations to come. We are healing our children. And I mean, as we learn this mental health first aid, as we learn our spiritual healing toolkit, we can teach our children. We can teach others. We can teach friends. We can teach everyone around us. I mean, we can spread that love and light. Healing doesn't have to be difficult. And it can be easy, and we can gain those gifts. And also, in our modern world, we don't align ourselves. I mean, we too reliant on technology, like an electronic calendar, our phones. I mean, we should be aligning ourselves with the moon cycles, with the planets, with the stars, with the sun. Connecting ourselves with nature, that's what we need. We need to go back to basics. And that is an important part of our healing journey. Okay, I'm going to close down in just a moment. But before I do, I want to thank you all for listening. And if you have any questions at all, then please pop a comment below, and I'll be happy to answer anything. Okay, and before I go, what I'd like to do is I'd just like to finish with a shamanic blessing. and it's called Healing the Wounded Light Warrior. Okay. Just burning some Palo Santo. I wish we had smelly vision. It smells beautiful. Sacred spirits of earth and sky, hear the wounded warrior's cry. Mend the fractures and soothe the pain. Let the strength and vigour flow again. Ancient ancestors, lend your might. Guide this warrior back to the light. With every chant and drumbeat soar, restore the peace they had before. Gentle winds wash away the strife. Breathe into them new life. Embrace the scars, both old and new, for in them lies a strength so true. Warrior spirit, resilient and grand, with love and healing, here we stand. Thank you so much for joining me, and hope you have a beautiful day. Sending you much love, light and blessings.